On October 1, 1961, a 27-year-old outfielder stepped into the batter's box at Yankee Stadium. The crowd was surprisingly sparse. Only 23,000 fans had shown up to watch the final game of the season in a stadium that could hold 65,000. Most of New York had wanted someone else to be standing here. They wanted Mickey Mantle, the golden boy, the true Yankee, the man the press adored. Not Roger Maris, the outsider, the guy who had only been a Yankee for 2 years. The wrong man, chasing the right record. But Mantle was gone, knocked out of the race by an infected hip. And now Maris stood alone, with 60 home runs, one swing away from breaking the most sacred record in baseball. Babe Ruth's 60 home runs in 1927. The commissioner had already tried to stop him. Ford Frick, Ruth's former ghostwriter and close friend, had announced that any record set after 154 games would carry an asterisk. Maris had failed to beat Ruth in that window. To many, what he was about to do would not count. In the 4th inning, Maris faced Boston Red Sox pitcher Tracy Stallard. The count went to 2 balls, no strikes. Stallard threw a fastball. Maris swung. The ball rocketed toward right field and landed in the stands. A fan named Sal Durante caught it. Maris rounded the bases as the crowd rose to its feet. His teammates dragged him out of the dugout for a curtain call. 61, a new record, and almost nobody wanted him to have it. Years later, Maris said, "They acted as though I was doing something wrong, poisoning the record books or something. Do you know what I have to show for 61 home runs? Nothing. Exactly nothing." This is the story of the most hated record breaker in baseball history. A quiet man from North Dakota who endured death threats, lost his hair from stress, and watched fans boo him for daring to be better than their hero. This is the story of Roger Maris, the man who beat Mickey Mantle, the man who beat Babe Ruth, the man baseball never forgave. Roger Eugene Maris was born on September 10, 1934, in Hibbing, Minnesota, a small town on the Iron Range in the northern part of the state. His parents, Rudolph and Corinne Maris, were of Croatian heritage. His grandfather Steve had emigrated from Croatia around 1910. Rudolph worked for the Great Northern Railroad, first as a laborer and later as a foreman. The family moved frequently because of his job. When Roger was 4 years old, they relocated to Grand Forks, North Dakota. When he was 12, they moved again to Fargo. Roger had an older brother, Rudolph Jr., who everyone called Buddy. The two boys were close, but their relationship shaped Roger's life in unexpected ways. It was Buddy who introduced Roger to baseball, literally dragging him by the ear to play a sport he initially hated. Roger preferred the outdoors. He loved hunting and fishing, but Buddy insisted, and eventually Roger grew to love the game. In 1951, tragedy struck the family. Buddy developed polio at age 18. The disease ended any athletic dreams he might have had. Roger later carried guilt that he and not his brother had achieved fame in sports. Their father did nothing to ease these feelings, often comparing Roger unfavorably to Buddy. The family name was Maris, but in 1955, Rudolph Sr. changed it to Maris. The reasons were practical. Fans could pronounce it more easily. And Roger had endured years of teasing from kids who called him Ma-ass. Roger attended Bishop Shanley High School in Fargo, a Catholic school where he became a legendary multi-sport athlete. It was also where he met Patricia, the woman who would become his wife. They first noticed each other at a high school basketball game when Roger was in the 10th grade. They began dating and would remain together for the rest of his life. Football was actually Roger's best sport. In one game during his senior year, he returned 4 kicks for touchdowns, a national high school record that still stands today. He scored on 2 kickoff returns, 1 punt return, and 1 interception return. He also added a 5th touchdown on a 32-yard running play. College scouts took notice. Shanley did not have a baseball team because of North Dakota's brutal winters, so Roger played American Legion baseball during the summers. He led his team to a state championship and was voted Most Valuable Player. The University of Oklahoma recruited Roger to play football, offering him a full scholarship. He accepted and traveled to Norman for the start of the school year. But when he arrived at the bus station, no one from the university was there to greet him. Feeling slighted, Roger turned around and went back to Fargo. It was a decision that would change baseball history. Instead of college football, Roger signed with the Cleveland Indians organization in 1953. He was assigned to their Class C affiliate in Fargo-Moorhead, allowing him to play close to home. He hit .325 with 9 home runs and was named the Northern League's Rookie of the Year. Roger spent 4 seasons in the minor leagues, moving through Keokuk, Tulsa, Redding, and Indianapolis. His manager at Keokuk and Redding was Joe White, a patient man who became the most significant influence on Roger's baseball career. White taught him to stop worrying about hitting singles and to focus on pulling the ball for power. The advice worked. In 4 minor league seasons, Roger hit .303 with 78 home runs and 353 runs batted in. He was ready for the majors. Roger made his major league debut on April 16, 1957, with the Cleveland Indians. He went 3 for 5 in a loss to the Chicago White Sox. 2 days later, he hit his first career home run, a grand slam off Detroit's Jack Cremion. The debut showed promise. His rookie season was modest. He hit .235 with 14 home runs. The following June, Cleveland traded him to the Kansas City Athletics. In 1959, he made his first All-Star team and hit .273 with 16 home runs and 72 runs batted in. Kansas City had a reputation as the New York Yankees' unofficial farm team. The Athletics frequently traded their best young players to the Yankees. Roger was no exception. In December of 1959, Kansas City sent Maris to New York, along with 2 other players in exchange for 4 players that included Don Larson, who had pitched the only perfect game in World Series history. Roger's new salary was $18,000. The trade would transform both Roger's career and baseball history. Roger arrived in New York and immediately made an impact. In his Yankees debut on April 19, 1960, he hit a single, a double, and 2 home runs in an 8-4 victory over the Boston Red Sox. The 1960 season was spectacular. Roger hit 39 home runs, 1 behind his teammate Mickey Mantle, who led the league with 40. He led the American League with a slugging percentage of .581. He led in runs batted in with 112, and in extra base hits with 64. He also batted .283, the highest average of his career. He won a Gold Glove Award for his outstanding defense in right field. Most importantly, Roger was named the American League's most valuable player. The vote was incredibly close. Roger received 225 points to Mantle's 222, with Brooks Robinson of the Baltimore Orioles finishing 3rd at 211. It remains one of the tightest, most valuable player races in baseball history. The Yankees won the American League pennant, their first of 5 consecutive pennants, and faced the Pittsburgh Pirates in the World Series. The series became famous for its dramatic ending. The Yankees actually outscored the Pirates 55 runs to 27 over 7 games, winning 3 blowouts by scores of 16-3, 10-0, and 12-0. But the Pirates won the close games, and in Game 7, second baseman Mazeroski led off the bottom of the 9th inning with the score tied 7-7. He hit a home run over the left field wall at Forbes Field, giving Pittsburgh a 10-9 victory and the championship. It was the first walk-off home run to end a World Series Game 7. Roger hit .267 in the series with 2 solo home runs, 6 runs scored, and a double. Despite the disappointing finish, he had established himself as one of the best players in baseball. Then came 1961. The American League had expanded from 8 teams to 10, adding the Los Angeles Angels and a new Washington Senators franchise. To accommodate more games against the new teams, the schedule was extended from 154 games to 162. This change would become the most controversial element of Roger's record-breaking season. From the start, the 1961 Yankees were a juggernaut. Manager Ralph Houck switched the batting order, putting Maris third and Mantle fourth. The two sluggers became known as the M&M Boys. One famous photograph showed 6 Yankees who had combined for 165 home runs the previous season. Sports writers nicknamed them Murderers Row, a title borrowed from the legendary 1927 Yankees. As summer approached, it became clear that both Maris and Mantle had a real chance to break Babe Ruth's record of 60 home runs in a single season. No one had seriously threatened the record since Ruth himself. The media descended on the Yankees clubhouse. Reporters asked the same questions day after day. When will you break the record? Do you think you can do it? Are you better than Ruth? Mickey Mantle was equipped to handle the attention. He was a long-time Yankee, beloved by fans and skilled at schmoozing with the New York press. Roger was none of these things. He was a blunt, plain-spoken Midwesterner who answered questions honestly, even when honesty was not what reporters wanted to hear. Sports writers began to pit the two friends against each other, inventing a rivalry that did not exist. In reality, Maris and Mantle were roommates and close friends. But the narrative was set. Mantle was the golden boy. Maris was the outsider. New York fans rooted for Mantle. When Roger hit a home run, the cheers were often mixed with boos. Some fans wanted to see Ruth's record broken, but only by the right person. Then, on July 17th, Commissioner Ford Frick made an announcement that would haunt Roger for the rest of his life. Frick had been a sports writer before becoming commissioner. He had also been Babe Ruth's ghostwriter and close friend. At a press conference, Frick declared that any new home run record would need to be set within 154 games to be considered official. If someone broke Ruth's record after that point, there would be a distinctive mark in the record books indicating it was accomplished in a longer season. New York Daily News writer Dick Young immediately suggested an asterisk as that distinctive mark. Though no asterisk was ever officially used, the idea took hold in the public imagination. Roger was chasing a record that the commissioner himself seemed determined to protect. The pressure mounted. Roger received death threats. The New York Police Department assigned a detective named Kieran Burke to watch over him. Hate mail poured in daily. The stress was so intense that Roger's hair began falling out in clumps. Meanwhile, Mantle stayed right with him in the home run race. By early September, both men were well ahead of Ruth's pace. Roger had 56, Mickey had 53. Then Mantle's body betrayed him. A doctor gave him an injection to treat the flu, but the shot became infected. An abscess formed in Mickey's hip. He tried to play through the pain, but bloodstains appeared on his uniform. He was forced out of the lineup with 54 home runs. Roger was now alone in the chase. On September 20th, in the Yankees' 154th game, Roger had 58 home runs. He needed 2 more to tie Ruth within Frick's arbitrary deadline. He hit 1. That was 59. He had failed to beat Ruth in 154 games. To many, the chase was already over. Whatever Roger did from this point forward would carry an invisible asterisk. But Roger kept hitting. On September 26th, he tied Ruth at 60 with a home run off Jack Fisher of the Baltimore Orioles. 3 games remained. Roger went homerless in the next 2. Everything came down to the final day, October 1st, 1961. The Yankees hosted the Boston Red Sox at Yankee Stadium. The sparse crowd of 23,000 was a far cry from the 65,000 who might have attended if New York fans truly embraced what was about to happen. Many seats sat empty. The atmosphere was subdued. Roger came to bat in the first inning and flied out. He came up again in the 4th inning against Tracy Stallard, a 24-year-old right-hander. Stallard was not trying to walk Maris. He wanted to challenge him. Years later, Stallard said he believed people would remember the pitcher who gave up the last home run Maris ever hit, not number 61. The count went to 2 balls, no strikes. Stallard threw a fastball, waist-high, over the plate. Roger's quick wrists whipped the bat through the zone. The ball sailed into the right field stands. About 10 rows deep, Sal Durante, a 19-year-old truck driver from Brooklyn, caught it. The ball would later be returned to Roger after Durante was given $5,000 and a trip to California by a Sacramento restaurant owner. Roger rounded the bases and disappeared into the dugout. His teammates pushed him back out for a curtain call. He stood at the top of the dugout steps, waved his cap awkwardly to the crowd, then retreated back inside. 61. The Yankees won the game 1-0. Roger's home run was the only run scored. It was fitting somehow. He had done this alone. The record that had stood for 34 years was broken. But the celebration felt muted. There were no fireworks, no champagne. Commissioner Frick was not in attendance. Much of the baseball establishment treated the moment as an unfortunate necessity rather than a historic achievement. Roger finished the season with 61 home runs, 141 runs batted in, and 132 runs scored. He won his second consecutive American League Most Valuable Player award. He was named the top professional athlete of the year, receiving the Hickok belt. This was a most valuable season. The Yankees went on to defeat the Cincinnati Reds in the World Series 4-1. The Reds were led by National League Most Valuable Player Frank Robinson, but the Yankees pitching dominated. Whitey Ford extended his World Series scoreless innings streak to 32, breaking a record that had been held by Babe Ruth from his pitching days with the Red Sox. Roger struggled at the plate, hitting just .105 for the series. The pressure of the home run chase had drained him physically and emotionally. But he came through when it mattered most, hitting a tie-breaking home run in the 9th inning of Game 3 that gave the Yankees a 3-2 victory. It was his only hit of the series, but it was a crucial one. With his second championship ring, Roger had accomplished something remarkable. He had broken the most famous record in baseball and helped his team win the World Series. He should have been celebrated as a hero. He had accomplished something that no one had done in more than 3 decades. But instead of being celebrated, he was treated as an intruder. "As a ball player, I would be delighted to do it again," Roger said. "As an individual, I doubt if I could possibly go through it again." The years after 1961 were difficult for Roger. The constant scrutiny had taken a toll on his health and his spirit. His hair never fully grew back in some places. His relationship with the New York media remained tense. Roger made the All-Star team again in 1962 and hit 33 home runs. The Yankees won another World Series, defeating the San Francisco Giants in 7 games. But Roger was never the same dominant force he had been during his back-to-back MVP seasons. Injuries began to pile up. In 1963, he was limited to 90 games and hit just 23 home runs. He rebounded somewhat in 1964, hitting 26 home runs and batting .281. The Yankees returned to the World Series but lost to the St. Louis Cardinals in 7 games. In 1965, Roger had off-season surgery to remove a bone chip from his hand. In 1966, he played most of the season with what was eventually diagnosed as a broken bone in his hand that team doctors had missed. His production plummeted. So did the Yankees, who had won 5 consecutive pennants from 1960 to 1964, but were now in steep decline. By the end of 1966, Roger was ready to retire. He was tired of New York, tired of the media, tired of being treated as a villain for breaking a record. He told the Yankees he was done. The Yankees asked him to delay his announcement until spring training. Roger agreed. Days later, they traded him to the St. Louis Cardinals. The trade saved Roger's career. In St. Louis, Roger found happiness for the first time in years. He was back in the Midwest, closer to his roots. The Cardinals' clubhouse was welcoming. His new teammates treated him as a respected veteran, not as an outsider. Pitcher Bob Gibson later wrote about Maris. Contrary to what we had read about him in the papers, Maris was not chronically miserable. He was just a plain-spoken, chain-smoking North Dakotan who was happy to be away from high-rise apartments and the media capital of the universe, and happy to finally be happy. Roger was no longer a power hitter. His body had taken too much punishment. But he was still a smart, professional ball player who knew how to contribute. He hit .261 with 9 home runs and 55 runs batted in for the 1967 Cardinals. That team was loaded with talent. Orlando Cepeda won the National League Most Valuable Player Award with 25 home runs and 111 runs batted in. Lou Brock stole 52 bases and hit a .299 batting average. Curt Flood batted .335. Bob Gibson anchored the pitching staff despite missing 2 months with a broken leg suffered when Roberto Clemente hit a line drive off his shin. The Cardinals won 101 games and captured the National League pennant. They faced the Boston Red Sox in the World Series. Boston had won the American League pennant on the final day of the season in a 4-team race, completing what fans called the impossible dream. The Red Sox were led by Carl Yastrzemski, who won the Triple Crown with a .326 average, 44 home runs, and 121 runs batted in. Roger had the best postseason of his career. He hit .385 with a home run and 7 runs batted in, a Cardinals World Series record at the time. In Game 1, with Bob Gibson pitching against Jose Santiago, the game was tied 1-1 in the 7th inning. Roger came up with runners on first and third and 1 out. He grounded to first, but the run scored. The Cardinals won 2-1. Roger had driven in both runs. Throughout the series, he consistently moved runners into scoring position, even when making outs. He grounded to the right side when teammates were on second base, advancing them to third. Nobody made a more productive out than Roger Maris, one observer noted. If Cepeda was the heart of the team, Maris was the brain. The Cardinals won the series in 7 games, with Gibson dominating on the mound. For Roger, it was his 3rd World Series championship and perhaps his most satisfying. He returned for 1 more season in 1968. The Cardinals won the pennant again, but lost the World Series to the Detroit Tigers in 7 games. In Game 7, Roger was on deck when catcher Tim McCarver hit a foul pop that ended the series. Roger retired after the season. He was 34 years old. His final career numbers included 275 home runs, 851 runs batted in, and a .260 batting average. He had played in 7 World Series, more than any other player during the 1960s, and won 3 championships. But the number that defined him was 61. After baseball, Roger moved to Gainesville, Florida, where his wife Patricia's family had roots. Cardinals owner Gussie Busch, who also owned Anheuser-Busch, set him up with a Budweiser distributorship as a thank you for his contributions to the team. Roger and his brother Rudy operated Maris Distributing Company together, serving Gainesville and Ocala. Roger married Patricia on October 13, 1956, at St. Anthony's Catholic Church in Fargo. She was 21 and he was 22. They had 6 children together: Roger Jr., Kevin, Richard, Susan, Randy, and Sandra. Patricia had been his rock throughout the difficult years in New York, and now they could finally enjoy a quieter life. Roger avoided the spotlight. He rarely attended Yankees functions. The bitterness from 1961 had not faded. For more than a decade, he stayed away from Yankee Stadium entirely. He had no interest in revisiting the place where he had been treated as a villain for breaking a record. In 1973, George Steinbrenner bought the Yankees and began reaching out to former players. Slowly, Roger's resistance softened. In 1978, he returned to Yankee Stadium for Old Timers' Day. The reception was warmer than he expected. On July 22, 1984, the Yankees held a ceremony to retire Roger's number 9 and dedicate a plaque in his honor at Monument Park. The plaque was subtitled, "Against All Odds." Roger wore a Yankees uniform one more time and received a standing ovation from the crowd. Speaking at the 1980 All-Star Game, Roger reflected on his record-breaking season. He said, "They acted as though I was doing something wrong, poisoning the record books or something. Do you know what I have to show for 61 home runs? Nothing. Exactly nothing." The bitterness never fully disappeared. But by the end of his life, Roger had made peace with the Yankees and with his legacy. In 1983, Roger was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma. He responded by organizing the annual Roger Maris Celebrity Golf Tournament to raise money for cancer research and treatment. The tournament continues to this day, benefiting the Roger Maris Cancer Center at Sanford Hospital in Fargo. Roger fought the disease for 2 years. In November of 1985, he was admitted to MD Anderson Hospital in Houston. His condition deteriorated rapidly. On December 14, 1985, Roger Maris died with his wife Patricia at his side. He was 51 years old. The funeral was held at St. Mary's Cathedral in Fargo, the church where Roger had attended Mass as a boy. The cathedral was filled with mourners from across the country. Mickey Mantle flew in from Dallas. Former teammates Bill Skowron and Whitey Ford attended. Bobby Allison, the NASCAR driver and a close friend, was there. Mantle was visibly emotional. The two men who had chased Ruth's record together in 1961, who had been portrayed as rivals by the press but who had been friends and roommates, were now separated forever. Mickey later wrote in his autobiography, "The single greatest feat I ever saw was Roger Maris hitting his 61 home runs to break Babe Ruth's record." Roger was buried at Holy Cross Cemetery in Fargo, back in the North Dakota plains where he had grown up. His grave is marked with a simple headstone. Fans still visit to pay their respects to the man who broke Babe Ruth's record. Roger's record stood for 37 years. In 1998, Mark McGwire of the St. Louis Cardinals hit 70 home runs. Sammy Sosa of the Chicago Cubs hit 66. 3 years later, Barry Bonds hit 73. All three of those players were later linked to performance-enhancing drugs. McGwire admitted to using steroids throughout much of his career. Sosa was connected to banned substances and later tested positive for a performance-enhancing drug. Bonds was convicted of obstruction of justice in a federal steroids investigation. The tainted nature of those records gave new appreciation to what Roger had accomplished. He hit 61 home runs without any artificial enhancement in an era when amphetamines were common, but steroids were not. His record was clean. In 2005, the North Dakota Senate passed a resolution urging Major League Baseball to recognize Roger Maris's 61 home runs as the legitimate single-season record. Baseball declined to take action, noting that the records stood as they were. Roger's American League record of 61 stood for 61 years. A poetic coincidence. In 2022, Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees mounted a challenge. Judge was everything Roger had not been in New York. He was beloved by fans. He was embraced by the media. He played the game with joy and enthusiasm. On October 4, 2022, Judge hit his 62nd home run, breaking Roger's American League record. Members of the Maris family were in attendance at Arlington, Texas, to witness the moment. They embraced Judge afterward, passing the torch to a new generation. Judge accomplished the feat without the cloud of steroids that hung over McGwire, Sosa, and Bonds. He did it the way Roger had done it, through talent and determination. Roger would have appreciated that. Roger Maris was never elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. He received votes from the Baseball Writers Association from 1974 to 1988, but never exceeded 43.1%, which he received in his final year of eligibility. The Hall of Fame requires 75% for induction. It remains one of baseball's enduring controversy. Roger won 2 consecutive Most Valuable Player awards, something only 13 players have accomplished in consecutive seasons. He broke the most famous record in sports. He played in 7 World Series and won 3 championships. He won a Gold Glove. He was one of the best players in baseball during his peak years. His supporters pointed out that many outfielders in the Hall of Fame never won 2 Most Valuable Player awards, and no one else had ever hit 61 home runs in a season. His critics focused on his relatively short peak, his career batting average of .260, and the fact that 61 home runs represented more than 22% of his career total, the highest percentage of any player with a season of 60 home runs. But the real reason Roger never made the Hall of Fame was simpler. The writers who covered him in New York never forgave him for being honest, for being blunt, for not playing the media game the way Mickey Mantle did. They held a grudge that lasted beyond the grave. They voted against him year after year, even after his death from cancer at 51. Roger was also considered by veterans committees after his Baseball Writers Association eligibility expired, but he has never received enough support for induction. The debate continues to this day. Roger's legacy extends beyond the record books. In Fargo, he remains a beloved hero. Roger Maris Drive runs through the city. The Roger Maris Museum at West Acres Shopping Center displays memorabilia from his career, including bats, balls, uniforms, and photographs. Admission is free, just as Roger would have wanted. The Roger Maris Cancer Center at Sanford Hospital has treated thousands of patients since it opened in 1990. The annual Roger Maris Celebrity Golf Tournament, which Roger founded after his diagnosis, continues to raise money for cancer research and treatment. It is one of the most successful charity events in the country. At Newman Outdoor Field in Fargo, home of the minor league Fargo Moorhead Red Hawks, the dimensions mirror those of Yankee Stadium. The team has retired number 8, which Roger wore during his time with the Fargo Moorhead Twins in 1953. A billboard outside the stadium once declared Maris the legitimate home run king. In 1999, the United States Postal Service issued a commemorative stamp honoring Roger, depicting him mid-swing with the caption, "61 in 61. In 2001, director Billy Crystal released the HBO film 61 Star, a sympathetic portrayal of Roger and Mickey's pursuit of Ruth's record. Barry Pepper played Roger and earned an Emmy nomination. Roger's wife, Patricia, survived him by many years, attending events commemorating his achievements and keeping his memory alive. The 6 children he raised with Patricia have continued his legacy through charitable work and by sharing his story with the new generations. What does 61 mean today? It means that for 37 years, Roger Maris held the single-season home run record. It means that his American League record stood for 61 years, until Aaron Judge surpassed it in 2022. It means that in an era before steroids tainted the record books, a quiet man from North Dakota accomplished something that Babe Ruth's ghost had protected for more than 3 decades. Roger Maris did not look like a home run champion. He did not act like one. He did not cultivate the press or charm the public. He simply showed up every day and did his job, even when his hair was falling out from stress-related hair loss. Even when fans booed him, even when the commissioner tried to diminish his achievement before he had even accomplished it. Roger once said, "Maybe I would not do it all over again if I had the chance. I had so many people on my tail." But he did do it. On October 1st, 1961, Roger Maris hit a baseball into the right field stands at Yankee Stadium. Number 61, the record that would stand for 37 years. He never got the recognition he deserved while he was alive. He never made the Hall of Fame. He never fully escaped the shadow of that asterisk. But time has a way of correcting injustices. Today, Roger Maris is remembered not as a villain, but as a man who achieved something extraordinary under impossible circumstances. A man who broke Babe Ruth's record and never apologized for it. A man who proved that records are made to be broken, no matter how sacred they are supposed to be. 61 home runs. One man against history. Roger Maris won. Like and subscribe for more baseball documentaries. Until next time.